Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, this is Andrew Champagne. I'm a member of the Democratic State Committee and also involved in Democratic state politics in Burlington and Chittenden County and in Vermont. So we have our monthly episode, I guess, of Democrats Live at 5:25. We're running just a couple minutes late. I apologize for that. I would like to thank my producer, Jordan. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And also Megan, who's not here today, a great friend of the program. And also by special request, my co-producer here, Daniel, and I'd like to thank him. He's going to be doing the cameras. He runs the monitor, and he also runs the order of the appearance. So Daniel, thank you so much. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to see Jordan here. These folks at Channel 17 could not be kinder. And, we have a blast doing the show. So I got a lot to announce. Okay, so I'm on camera 2 here. That was a quick change. All right. I must start the show like I've got to start every show. We've got to talk about COVID. I'm reaching out to anyone here who has not been vaccinated. We see that the numbers are spiking in Burlington and Chittenden County, and we need to get everyone vaccinated, okay? If you're not vaccinated, there are so many different ways that you can figure that out. I just got some stuff actually from the Speaker of the House, Joe Kowinski, about COVID, and also about Representative Kurt McCormick. And do you have COVID-19 questions? Call the health department at 802-863-7240 or send the health department an email at ahs.vdhp.publiccommunications@vermont.gov. I'm going to have to repeat that maybe a couple times. First of all, let's do the phone number, 802-863-7240. And then it's kind of a long email, ahs.vdhp@publiccommunications@vermont.gov. Also, if you are interested in assessing any state resources or services, you can call 211. And you can also text them too if you have any questions. So 211, that's kind of a state hotline to help. And I must say, as a small state, we have a lot of people here who are glad to help you. And so if you have any COVID questions, 863-7240, or quickly send an email to ahsvdh public communications at Vermont.gov. I'm sorry, that's a little complicated. I'm going to do it one more time. I apologize to my producer here. ahs.vdph public communication at Vermont.gov. Again, on the phone, 863-7240. Because if we cannot get close to 100% vaccination, we're not going to be able to move forward as a society or as a world. We're going to be caught in this COVID stuff for years and years. And it really, as we've seen, we're almost entering our second year of it now. It's just very debilitating. I mean, we have almost 800,000 people have died. Countless many people have been sick. And just the enormous toll it's taken on our spirits, our morale, our happiness. And it's not natural to always to be isolated, and that's not how society works. So I ask anybody here who has not been vaccinated to strongly consider it. The vaccinations, they're not painful at all. Sure, you're a little tired. There might be a little bit of side effect, but it's worth it. I had very little side effects. I'm also, next month, I'll be able to get my booster, and I will be doing that on the first day that I can. So anyone here who has not gotten the coronavirus, the vaccine, please. If you have any questions, you can call me at home, 802-540-0717. I know sometimes it's like going to the dentist or going to the doctor. It makes you nervous. It's a little scary, but everyone has a friend who can take them to get the shot. If you are a shut-in, or if you have trouble walking, or your mobility is limited, the government will come and give the shot to you right at your house. So I hate to take away too much time of the program, but it's very integral to moving forward as a society. So if you haven't been vaccinated, please consider getting vaccinated. And we all know some people that haven't been vaccinated. And I have a good friend of mine, and unfortunately, he chooses not to get vaccinated, and it's very disconcerting. And I ask him, and I ask everyone, try to take the long view. And sometimes you have to do what's right for your country and for the world. And if we can't get close to everyone vaccinated, we're not going to be able to get beyond this. Okay, moving on to better stuff. Last thing also, if you're looking for some help on services and also COVID questions, besides calling the 863-7240, you can call 211, which is kind of a Vermont state number. Okay, that's good. Now moving on, we've got a great announcement today. We have a candidate for City Council in Ward 8 that declared today. Her name is Miss Hannah King. She is a senior at UVM. She's a political science major. She's an old friend of mine. She's worked on campaigns since she was a freshman. She's been very involved in city politics and city policy. She's focused on a lot of different issues, for example, public safety, transportation issues, trying to bring down our carbon footprint. I think she's going to be a very strong candidate. Her name is Hannah King. She lives on Bradley Street, and you will see her because she is going to mount a very strong campaign. She's going to take it to the voters. You will see Hannah. Hannah will also be at the polls all day on December 7th at Ward 8, which that polling place is Fletcher Free Library. You know, I might as well go over all the polling places why we're talking about Ward 8. Okay, Ward 1 is Mater Christi School. Ward 2 is H.O. Wheeler School. Ward 3 is Barnes School, or Sustainability Academy. Ward 4 is St. Mark's Church. Ward 5 is the junior high on Main Street and Edmonds. Ward 6 is Burlington Electric, and Ward 7 is the Senior Center in the New North End. So and Ward 8, as I said, is at the public library. Excuse me, just got a little water here. We have an election coming up, but not where we're going to have any candidates. It's where we have two bond issues to talk about. And I have the wording on both, and I'd like to take the time to read both so you can kind of soak it in. As of now, most of you, the vast majority of you, should have gotten your ballot sent to you in the mail. If you did not receive your ballot, please give City Hall a call. You can call them 865-7000 and just press 1 to reach them, or you can email City Hall, or you can stop in. They are open 8 to 4:30 every day, Monday through Friday. They close 12:30 to 1:30 for lunch and also COVID cleanup. But they cannot be nicer. Like to say hello. I always say hello to them, my friends at City Hall. Amy Bovee, Catherine, Susan, Lori, Tenzin, Philip, Holly. Hope I'm not forgetting anyone. But they do wonderful work, and as a justice of the peace, I work with them frequently, and they're the people you go to if you want to register to vote, or you want to get a wedding license, or pay your property tax, or get a dog license, or just have a question about your birth certificate, anything like that. And they do it so well. And we have, in the vault, we have stuff from almost 200 years ago about that has stayed there. So it's very interesting. Okay, so there is a special election on Tuesday, December 7th. Easy day to remember, Pearl Harbor Day. And I'm going to read both questions for you. Now, there are no candidates on the ballot. It is just these two ballot questions. So I'd like to read these for you if I could, please. Number 1, shall the City Council, quote, be authorized to issue general obligation bonds or notes in one or more series and aggregate principal amount not to exceed $40 million to be borrowed in increments from fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2025, between fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2025 for the purpose of funding capital improvements, infrastructure projects for the city and departments in furtherance of the city's 10-year capital plan. So basically, what the city is looking here is a bond to borrow money to do some improvements. Again, I'll just say it really fast. Shall the City Council be authorized to issue general obligation bonds or notes in a series not to exceed $40 million to be borrowed in increments between fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2025. So that's a three-year window. And with interest rates so low, I think this is a good investment. And I've already voted, but I voted yes on this. So number 2, this is a long one, folks, but I'll read it to you. And with anything like this, you've got to take a minute to look at the official document. It's, one sentence précis is really not going to work on this. Okay. Question 2. Shall the city be authorized to issue revenue bonds or notes in behalf of the electric light company in an amount not to exceed $20 million to be issued pursuant to the city charter as may be determined by the City Council and payable from net revenues of the electric system for the purpose of paying for 1, capital additions and improvements to the city's electrical system and energy conservation systems, and 2, and also energy goals including improvements to the city technology, customer and financial information systems, electric grid upgrades, electricity generation plants, and dams, quote, the project, and funding a debt service reserve fund and paying the cost of insurance. Now, these are both a lot of money, but in order for our city to function in a modern and updated manner, and this is a city that's very interested in reducing our carbon footprint and trying to get off our terrible, terrible addiction to fossil fuels. So these 2 questions, I voted yes on both of them. We're borrowing money to improve, to put money into our system, and I think it's a win-win. I think this will help our credit rating. I think this gives us some money when we need it, and I think these improvements by 2025 will be long overdue. So, first one, again, general obligation bonds, okay, and then the other one is more determined to the electric company. And I'd just like to say, my friend Darren Springer, who's head of the electric company, and Mike Cantor, director of communications there, the whole staff there is very strong. And I think Burlingtonians, we forget how inexpensive our electric bill is. Remember, this is a not-for-profit system. And I think we're very fortunate Burlington Electric as our electric supplier. And so I would vote yes on both questions 1 and 2. I think sometimes you have to spend money. I think with the interest rates being low and our bond rating, this will also improve our bond rating. This has also had the support of the City Council and enthusiastic support of the mayor. So I'm going to vote yes on both these. Now, what's going to happen with the election is it's interesting. There's no candidates going to be there. It's just these 2 questions. Now, by the new law signed by Governor Scott, everyone, and supported by the Democrats all in Vermont, everyone is going to get a ballot sent to them in the mail. And now that's a very easy way to do it. I already got my ballot and I already voted. I mailed it in. Or you can drop it off at City Hall. Now, a lot of folks, and I'm with them too on this because I've worked at the polls since 1996, is they really enjoy going to the polls. I work at the polls and I really love it too. So let me stress that all 8 wards that I named again, I'm going to name them again one more time. Mater Christi School, Ward 1, okay, up by UVM, right next to the Red Cross. Ward 2, that's my ward and where I am right now. H.O. Wheeler School, okay, on Archibald Street. Ward 3 is the school on North Street called the Sustainability Academy. That is 120 North Street. Ward 4 is St. Mark's Church Avenue. Ward 5 is Edmonds Middle School on Main Street. Ward 6 is Burlington Electric, and that would be at 585 Pine Street. And then finally, I'm sorry, I don't know the senior center. I believe it's on Goss Court, and that's Ward 7. And then Ward 8 will be at 235 College Street, and that's where the library is. Now, that is the Ward 8, where I talked about where my friend Hannah King is going to be running for city council. That was a ward that was, basically the wards have to be within 10% of each other. So that ward was put out about the last time we did a reappraisal of where we were with our population, which has to be done constitutionally every 10 years. So that ward is going to be 10 years old. That in 2010, that ward was put into being. Before then, we only had 7 wards. We now have 8. So as I said, I read these questions to you, and to me, I think it's pretty essential for us to keep up with the electric grid and all the different ways and new technologies that they have to make our footprint cleaner and our carbon output smaller, and our fossil fuel imprint hopefully will go to nothing. But we're very far away from that. But you know, the city of Burlington and BED has been a real leader on this stuff. So again, I would like to say that I would hope that anyone watching this, obviously you can get a copy of the language from the city. If you haven't got your ballot, let me stress this. You can give City Hall a call at 865-7000. We also have same-day registrations. So let's say you want to vote, but you're new to town. You can go to your polling place on December 7th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and register. You also can register at City Hall. You can also register online. If you'd like to give me a call, I'd be glad to register you. 802-8, I'm sorry, remember my own phone number here. 802-540-0717. Okay, I have a bunch of other things here. See where we're at with time. Okay. I want to invite everyone in the community on Thursday, November 11th at 11 a.m. So that would be Tuesday, November 11th, the 11th day of the 11th month at the 11th hour. And that is when the hostilities ceased in World War I, the Great War, the war to end all wars, supposedly. Too bad that didn't turn out to be true. But that's the day that America honors Veterans Day. That's a national holiday. And there's a beautiful ceremony which takes place the Burlington Veterans and VFW hold a beautiful outside ceremony, again at 11 o'clock on Thursday, which is November 11th, and it's about a 20-minute ceremony. It's really beautiful. They play taps. There's some speakers. I believe Senator Leahy and Congressman Welch and Mayor Weinberger will be there, and a lot of veterans and just friends of veterans. And I always have to go to remember my dear father who fought in the Korean War when he was just 20 years old. So I guess wars, started by the old and fought by the young. And it never seems to change. But I'd also like to thank Mr. John Tracy, who works for Senator Leahy and is a Vietnam vet himself. He organizes this. And it's easy with parking, too, because the mayor very kindly has the street blocked off. And it will take place rain or shine. And at the top part of Battery Park, close to Battery Street. And there's a memorial there, and that's what will take place. So I'd like to invite everyone. It always makes me feel good to go there and think about the sacrifice and think about, how tough our history has been. And thank goodness we're out of Afghanistan and Iraq. And I hope that we're not in any foreign wars for a long time, maybe ever. Unfortunately, in our long history, we've had to fight them many times for a lot of good reasons and sometimes not for the greatest reasons. But I'd like to just thank all the veterans and especially all the Vietnam guys, because they're getting older now and their sacrifices. I just was talking to a friend who was telling me his brother is dying of Agent Orange that 50 years ago he got in Vietnam. So that war still takes its human toll. And anyone who goes to Washington, I think you've got to go to the wall and just take a look at that and look at those names and go, oh my God, they go on forever. And so sad. But we will remember them with honor and affection on Thursday, November 11th. Okay, let's talk about some national stuff here. We had a tough Tuesday last week. We had a couple tough elections. Even though one turned out well, in New Jersey, the governor there, Phil Murphy, won, but it was very, very close. The problem with New Jersey I'll just be telling you folks, is they are so taxed to the hilt. And there's definitely a feeling of throw the incumbents out. And I think this was the case. I think Governor Murphy's done an excellent job. And he ran into someone who campaigned hard and almost beat him. But again, we did get a win. It was a lot closer and more uncomfortable than we wanted. But maybe that sent a message that we've got to parse some of these taxes down. And then some truly bad news in Virginia. Terry Mcauliffe, who's the former governor of Virginia, was defeated by a Republican candidate, kind of a conservative person, a person who was very crafty, kind of wooed in the Trump folks and then kind of kept them at arm's distance. A fat cat guy who was head of Carlyle Investments, so supposedly worth $400 million, has no government experience. Virginia is very difficult because they have an interesting thing in their state constitution where you cannot succeed yourself as governor. So, for example, if you run for governor and win, 4 years later you cannot run. You can run after that 4 years, but you cannot succeed yourself. So in two consecutive terms. So, for example, the pretty popular moderate Democratic governor, Ralph Northland, he wasn't able to run. I like Terry a lot. Terry is very much part of the Democratic establishment. He was head of the DNC, worked a lot with President Clinton, has raised, I don't know if anyone's raised more money for the party. He ran into a buzzsaw. They were able to talk about things called like critical race theory. That's actually taught in colleges, not in high schools. And the Republicans acted like it was being taught in first or second grade or something. And basically critical race theory is saying that we have to look through our whole country's history and realize that a lot of it, most of it, if not all of it, was built on institutional racism. Our whole economy, all our accomplishments, we look back the first, how many presidents owned slaves, and that in order to move forward as a society, we need to take a critical look and realize that race is ingrained in almost every bit of our history. And when we look at our history, when we look at the omission, when we think of slavery, it's terrible. And critical race theory is just trying to teach people that race, unfortunately, is involved in almost every aspect of society. So if they were able to scare people off thinking that this radical curriculum was going to be taught, which is not even radical, it's talking about history. And again, they use different words. For example, some people wanted in Virginia to ban Toni Morrison's book called Beloved, which is an incredible book. She won the Nobel Prize, and she talked about how it was in slavery days, and unfortunately, this terrible, rosy, antebellum look at the Old South is complete nonsense and BS, and we need to lose that forever. And we do need to look and realize that our history is so riddled with racism and murder and brutality and rape amongst different people and amongst indigenous people and people of color. And that must be recognized. And that's something the Democratic Party, we strive for. I believe in everyone. And I don't believe in scare tactics, and I don't believe in separating people, and I don't believe by scaring people off. I believe that we're all together. We're all in this together. So we lost in Virginia. It's terrible. This governor is going to be awful. He's going to be conservative. And again, these governors are also working on, they're trying to break Roe versus Wade. Anytime you see Republican governors talking about returning things to the states, that's basically an old school way of, the federal government takes the lead on voting rights, on Medicare, on Medicaid, on Social Security. And the Republicans fought tooth and nail against Social Security. They fight for anything to help people. Now, President Obama, his greatest achievement domestically, Affordable Care Act. He had the guts to put his name on it, Obamacare. How many people has that helped to provide Medicare, Medicaid for everyone? Now, if someone goes to the doctor, if someone is able to get health care without bankrupting them, they're going to live longer. They're going to be more productive to society. And I think the Republicans really don't care about the people. They really don't. We have, for example, I was reading an article in England. They don't have any coal mines left. You know, all those stories about coal mines in Scotland and Wales and northern England, they're all gone now. But we still have them in Appalachia, in Kentucky, West Virginia. And until we can get away from coal and these dirty, dirty fuels that would kill our workers, these guys and women who go down 1,000 feet into the Earth's core and the dust from the coal, until we start trying to come up with a plan for the people and an energy plan that gets rid of coal and all this dirty fossil fuels, we're really going to be in trouble. And if we neglect our job, our children, our grandchildren, beyond and beyond, what's going to happen with them? What's going to happen to those 7 generations? So I guess I got off on a tangent here. But Virginia was disappointing. I like Terry Mcauliffe. He was a moderate Democrat, and unfortunately he didn't win. Now, Terry, I know you're not watching this, but if you are, hey, we still need you in the party. We did have some wins. We had some great wins for Democrats. In New York City, Eric Adams is the new mayor of New York City. Congratulations, Mr. Adams. And also in Boston, Michelle Wu, who ran a fantastic campaign, is now mayor-elect of Boston. With these wins come the losses. Now, what happens with New Jersey and Virginia is they are the only 2 states that have off-year elections. And since those off-year elections come in the president's first 10 months of his term, they're always looked upon as an indicator where we're going. Now, I'll tell you, we won New Jersey. It was closer than we wanted. Unfortunately, we lost Virginia. They still are very much enthralled to Donald Trump, an illegal and immoral president, a person who encouraged people to commit treason. And, you know, if the Republicans put him up, God help us all. But I'll be running hard against him. And I don't think he has the interests of America at heart. I'm a big, big fan of Vice President Biden. I was fortunate enough to be a delegate for him in 2020. And I really believe in him. And also First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. I think they're fantastic. His work on COVID, I'm so glad we're out of Afghanistan. It was not easy. We all know that. It was not easy. His work on passing this infrastructure bill. Now, I don't know, I've said this in past shows, but the average school in America is 60 to 70 years old. Our roads and highways are old. Our bridges are old. Anyone who drives around Chittenden County or Burlington, you will realize that these roads were not meant for this much ridership. Geez, and you know, every time I'm going somewhere on my bicycle, I see someone in a car, and they're always just one person in a car, line after line after line, hundreds and hundreds of cars just with one person in them, and that's not going to work our way out of this fossil fuel crisis. But the president has had some big victories. He did a great job at the summit in Europe last week, and meeting again with our allies, and you know, as we still are the leader of the free world. Now that term sounds a little old, but it's true. And I think if we can get this COVID worked on and get this infrastructure bill going on and get America back going, you know, close to 100%, I think it'll be years before we're at 100%, we will be much better. And I also think some of the great appointments that President Biden has made really are good. His cabinet appointments, I think VP Kamala Harris is doing a great job. We already saw her husband, the second gentleman, Mr. Mcauliffe, come to Burlington and visit the community health center, and I appreciated that. I'm glad he did that. You know, we're getting in, we're still in the off year, but we're coming right on to an exciting year of politics. Now, I'd just like to look out today. I don't have a decision on this. I haven't talked to him personally, but I'd like to ask Senator Leahy, I hope you run again, sir. I think you've done a fantastic job You're chair of appropriations. You are the senior senator. You provide amazing leadership. You helped officiate over the trial, the second impeachment trial of President Trump. But from your work in the Senate from January 1st, 1975 till today, the thousands and thousands of votes, all the good deeds you have done. And I really appreciate the work that you are doing, and Senator Bernie Sanders and Congressman Welch. And Senator Leahy, if you're watching this, I sure hope you run again. I'd like to say hi to all your staff and crew. I think you do an amazing job, and always been so kind to me. I've been fortunate to work for you a couple times, but I can't wait to work on your re-election campaign. And I'd just like to thank you for a lifetime of service. And I'd also like to thank Mrs. Leahy. I sure hope you're doing well, my friend. Those two care about Vermont like no other, really. And the work that Senator Leahy has done in Washington and overseas, and for example, on trying to ban, and still haven't been able to do it, still the landmines. Just all the wonderful things he's doing. I know he's working on a memoir, and I know that'll have a lot of photography in it. So Senator Leahy, if you're watching this, hello. I can't wait to work on your campaign. Thanks for all your good work, and I appreciate your great service. Thank you so much. So Congressman Welch, we had a lot of fun with him. I marched in a couple parades with him this summer, and his fantastic work in the House to get the stimulus package through, the infrastructure package through, and all the issues he's working on. He also worked, and I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. He was the lead sponsor of this bill called Save Our Stages, which gave places like the Flynn Theater or Higher Ground or the Lyric Theater or theaters in St. Johnsbury or in White River or all over Vermont some money to keep going, because without arts, we're just not the quite same society. And I'd like to thank his work for Save Our Stages. He was introduced by Grace Potter this summer at Shelburne and gave a great speech. And Grace, you're back in Vermont. We're so glad. And so, you know, when you look at it, it's easy to say, I know all these men and they've all been so kind to me, but we really do have some of the top legislators in the country. Again, thanks to Senator Leahy, Senator Bernie Sanders, and Congressman Peter Welch. So I have about 12 minutes left here. I'm going to try to wrap up with a couple things. I'm going to go over a few things. Again, I'd like to invite anyone, please come to the Veterans Day ceremony, which is this Thursday, 2 days from now, November 11th at 11 o'clock at Battery Park. It's been there for years and years like this, and it will continue. So it's always that day and time. Now, the 11th hour of the 11th day, they fired the guns till 10:59. And my late father told me in Korea, he was there the last day. He said they fired to the last minute. So all of a sudden, everything went silent all across the Western and Eastern Front. And they said the silence was mind-blowing after all those years of hearing that. And so to remember, you know, the greatest generation, the World War II guys, they are all minimum of 95 years old. And I remember all my uncles, they're all gone now. One was at the Battle of the Bulge, one was an MP, one was in the Pacific, came back weighing about 100 pounds and was 6'2" because they all got malaria. One was a photographer, one was in Italy. So I remember them all so fondly. They're all gone now. And they really, Tom Brokaw, he put it right with the greatest generation. They were something. And I'll tell you something about those guys, they never complained. So to all my uncles, I miss you, I love you. And to all the World War II men and women, you know, you're all 95 and above, I want to thank you. There's usually a couple of World War II veterans at the ceremony, some Korean veterans, some Vietnam-era veterans, Iraq, Desert Storm, Desert Freedom, Afghanistan. And so again, we hope that you can come. Now that has nothing to do with politics. This is a nonpartisan event. And so anyway, I've got about 10 minutes left. Let's talk about some couple things. I read the info on the voting questions. I will definitely be, I already did vote yes on vote 1 and 2. General obligation funds to help fund, to make improvements in the city. Basically borrowing money at a small rate to increase our bond rating, but also to increase our services with hope of a return. So to me, it's a win-win-win. So let's talk about nationally what's going on here. We have a Senate that is divided, 50-50. We're very fortunate with Vice President Kamala being our VP because she's the 51st vote and she breaks a tie. We have a couple Democrats that, don't seem to be on the program. The senator from Arizona and the senator from West Virginia. Now, you can't have it both ways. You can't take responsibility for all the good things we've done if you're voting against them. So Senator Manchin and Senator Schmerma, I hope you can look at things a little differently and realize that our country needs this massive influx of money. I know it's an incredible amount of money. It's the most money ever proposed for anything. But these are amazing times. And as we see from the stock market, this country is just flying economically. So we believe any money that is put in will come back with interest to us. But things like community college, free community college, they might not have made the bill this time, but they're coming. Looking back, the $15 minimum wage, I remember, oh my God. And now they can't, now a lot of stores can't get anyone to work for $15. It's going to have to be 20 or 25. We're seeing a lot of change in how we shop, how we work, how we study, how we go to our work jobs. And I don't know if it is all raveled out, we'll still be able to figure it out. The days of people going to the office 5 days a week, I think are over. When I look back on that, I'm 58 years old, so I was definitely part of that. But my parents' generation, that's what was expected, and that's what happened. So out of calamity and tragedy sometimes come new things that might seem different, weird. You don't work at the office. You don't have to go in. You can work in your pajamas. You can sit in your bed and work. You can, it's incredible. But with, thank goodness, America leading the way on technology, that is possible. So thinking outside the box is important. And I think we have some wonderful new leadership in Washington that is working on that for us. So I have about 8 minutes left. I'm going to talk a little bit about town meeting. Town meeting is now 4 months away, a little less. So it's about 16 weeks away. What is going to happen is both the Democratic Party and the Progressive Party will hold caucuses in early December. There are 8 city council races up this time around. We have 12 councilors, but 8 are up now. We have staggered terms. So we will have council races in all 8 wards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some are incumbents, and we will hopefully put up some challengers to some progressive challengers. I see I have 5 minutes left. I'd like to thank my producer extraordinaire, Jordan. I appreciate you, man. I know this show we've done some different things here. We've rambled a little bit, but there's so many topics, and the national topics blend into the state and local. The Democrats will field competitive candidates in all 8 wards. As I mentioned today, an excellent and outstanding announcement by my friend Hannah King that she is running for city council in Ward 8. I think she will be an awesome candidate. I'd like to endorse her on air right now. I will be helping you with a contribution. I will be helping on your campaign. And I think you have the vision, the energy, the intelligence, the honesty to be a fantastic city councilor. So Hannah King, Ward 8, that's basically from UVM down to about the library, bordered by Pearl and College, or maybe Pearl and Maine. And it's one of our smaller wards. It votes again at the library, 235 College Street. Again, here's what I worry about. I did a lit drop for our wonderful speaker, Jill Kowinski. Actually, today I was out doing it. And it had a lot to do with about COVID and about what she and Representative McCormick are doing across the state and in our district about COVID, about helping people with school building, with talking about extending the Office of Racial Equity, promoting healthcare equity, talking about childcare, and we've updated some Vermont election laws. Now we have universal vote by mail. We have new provisions to cure defective ballots. What that means is if you didn't sign your ballot, we can call you and you can correct it. It's great. Accessible secure drop boxes. That is fantastic. There are 2 drop boxes. No, there's several. There's some in the south end by Burlington Electric. There's some in the new north end. And then there's some outside City Hall. And then Secretary of State, maintenance of statewide voter checklists for accuracy. The checklist is vitally important, and to update it and keep it accurate is fantastic. Again, thanks to Secretary of State Jim Kondos, who I know is running again, and again I'm endorsing, who does a fantastic job. And report best practices for increasing access for voters with limited or no English. Now, their ballot, I believe, was published in Burlington the last time around in 6 languages. So if you have a friend that has trouble with English or is ESL, we can help them. You can give me a call, 802-540-0717. You can reach out to your city councilor. You can reach out to the mayor's office. That's 865-7272. Or you can reach out to City Hall, 865-7000. I'd like to thank Jill and Kurt for, again, distributing this all around the district. And this is nonpartisan. This talks about all the good stuff they were doing. I talked about the COVID. I want to give the COVID number if you have any COVID questions. 863-7240. Also, this is a statewide number which will help you for a lot of different stuff. It's just a very simple number, 211. So here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about people who haven't received their ballot. Let's say they lived on School Street and they moved to College Street. We need to change their registration and they can get a ballot sent to them. We still have over a month. But I also want to let people know that you can vote. Sure, you can vote by mail. Sure, you can go to City Hall and vote. Sure, you can drop it off. But also the best, and probably historically the best way, is to go to the polls. All 8 polls will be open. I'm down to a minute left. Wow, 44 minutes down and 1 to go. I'd like to thank, again, my producer extraordinaire, Jordan. I'd like to thank Daniel, my cameraman and monitor man. I'd also like to thank Megan. I'd like to thank everyone here. Channel 17, this is like a family. They're such wonderful people and always make us feel so welcome and do such a great job on production. I'd like to thank them. Again, we will be on December 14th. I'm going to have a special guest. I've got former state senator, mayoral candidate, and state rep Judy Stephanie Ahern on. We're going to talk about Burlington in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I'm down to about 1 minute. I'm down about 30 seconds, I believe. And so let me wrap it up. If you haven't gotten the shot, get the shot. If you have a friend who hasn't gotten the shot, bring them, help them, educate them, get the shot. Please come to 11th at 11 o'clock to Battery Park for our veterans. And also, please vote December 7th on these 2 bond issues. I would vote yes on both these. Thank you and have a great afternoon. I appreciate it.